In a pivotal moment for the Detroit Tigers, ace pitcher Tarik Skubal is set to undergo surgery to remove a loose particle from his elbow. The initial fears surrounding his recovery timeline suggested he could be sidelined for several months, but recent updates indicate that he has undergone a less invasive procedure. This raises the tantalizing prospect that we could see Skubal back on the mound sooner than originally expected. However, the air is thick with speculation regarding Skubal's future in Detroit. Rumors are swirling that the Tigers might consider trading him if they believe he won't sign a long-term deal. This is a significant concern for fans as Skubal has been a linchpin of the pitching staff. Yet, MLB Insider Jon Heyman believes that the likelihood of a trade is slim. He pointed out that while there would be a substantial demand for Skubal on the trade market, the Tigers seem reluctant to part ways with their star pitcher despite the team's struggles in the standings. As Heyman noted, the Tigers are tied for the bottom of the AL Central, and their performance this season has been lackluster, to say the least. It's a critical juncture for the organization, and while they have underperformed, it's hard to imagine them letting go of a talent like Skubal, especially with a year remaining on his contract. They'll take the draft choice if they have to, Heyman stated, emphasizing that the Tigers appear committed to holding on to Skubal for the time being. Now, let's talk numbers. Before his surgery, Skubal had been pitching lights out, boasting a 2.70 ERA over his first 7 starts this season. We're talking about a 2-time AL Cy Young Award winner, a player who has proven his worth time and again in the league. The thought of him donning another jersey is enough to make any Tigers fan uneasy, especially considering that he has been one of the few bright spots in a season that has been marred by disappointment. As we analyze this situation, it's important to consider the implications of a potential trade. Would trading Skubal signify a full rebuild for the Tigers? Or could it be interpreted as a desperate move by a franchise that's struggling to find its footing? Fans are understandably worried. The sentiment is that moving a player of Skubal's caliber could send the franchise into a tailspin, further alienating a fan base that has already endured its share of struggles. So, where are you watching from, Tigers fans? What do you think about the possibility of Skubal being traded? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. With all this swirling around the team, it's crucial to remember that the Tigers are still trying to remain competitive. They have recently signed notable players like Framber Valdez, indicating that they are still in the hunt for victory, despite their current standings. The front office's approach to Skubal may reflect a larger strategy, balancing the need to build a winning team while also planning for the future. As we transition from the Skubal situation, it's clear that the Tigers are at a crossroads. Whether they choose to hold on to their ace or explore trade options, the decisions they make in the coming weeks will have lasting ramifications for the organization. The stakes have never been higher, and fans will be watching closely as this narrative unfolds. Let's now shift gears and dive into another significant story affecting the Tigers.
As the 2026 season unfolds, the Detroit Tigers find themselves at a critical juncture, a moment that could define the trajectory of the franchise for years to come. With aspirations of a World Series run firmly in their sights, the urgency to capitalize on the final year of Tarik Skubal's contract has never been more palpable. Yet here we are, witnessing a team that entered the season with high hopes, now languishing multiple games below .500, and unfortunately, losing Skubal to elbow surgery has compounded the struggle. As of now, the Tigers have tumbled to the bottom of the American League Central, a position that feels particularly alarming given that this is the weakest division in baseball. With a record of 19-23 following a disheartening loss to the New York Mets, the Tigers are tied for last place with the Kansas City Royals. Yes, the gap between the top and bottom isn't insurmountable. The Cleveland Guardians are leading the division, but only have a 3-game cushion over the last-place Tigers. This means that a turnaround could happen, but the window is narrowing and the pressure is mounting. It's crucial to note that the recent performance has been far from ideal, with Detroit losing 7 of their last 10 games. Fans must be feeling the weight of that reality, as the team struggles to maintain its footing while waiting for Skubal's return. The absence of a pitcher of his caliber cannot be overstated. Without him, this team is not in contention. However, the silver lining is that reports surrounding Skubal's recovery have been mostly positive since the surgery. But optimism can only go so far when the on-field product continues to falter. What the Tigers need to do now is focus on staying competitive during this challenging stretch without Skubal. If they can manage to play .500 baseball over the next month, it could keep them relevant in the playoff race when he eventually makes his return. It's a balancing act that requires not just skill, but also mental fortitude. The team has shown flashes of brilliance in the past, so the potential for a hot streak is there. They just need to ignite it before it's too late. This isn't the start that anyone envisioned, particularly considering how last season kicked off with a much more promising outlook. The Tigers have the talent, but the execution hasn't matched the expectations. The fans deserve better, and it's time for this team to show that they have what it takes to rise to the occasion. So, as we dive deeper into this season, the question remains, can the Tigers right the ship and keep their hopes alive? The clock is ticking, and every game counts. Let's keep an eye on how they respond in the coming weeks, as they have a chance to prove that they still belong in the conversation for a playoff spot. Now, let's shift our focus to the next story and see what else is unfolding in the world of Detroit Tigers baseball. Things are looking bleak for the Detroit Tigers as they trudge through the first half of May, currently languishing at the bottom of the AL Central standings. For a team that had aspirations of contending for the division title, there's an urgent need for change and improvement at the major league level to restore any semblance of confidence. The weight of expectation is heavy, and it's becoming painfully clear that the current roster is struggling to live up to it. Yet, there's a glimmer of hope on the horizon, particularly from the AAA affiliate, the Toledo Mud Hens. Over the past week, the Mud Hens have been turning heads with their offensive and pitching prowess. The Tigers are in desperate need of some reinforcements, especially if their struggles persist. One name that has been making waves is Max Anderson, the number 4 prospect in the Tigers organization, who just made his return to Toledo after a lengthy stint on the injured list. Anderson's return could not have come at a better time. He was one of the standout performers during spring training, showcasing his skills with a .333 batting average over 36 at-bats, complemented by a home run and 7 RBIs. He narrowly missed securing a spot on the opening day roster, but his time to shine may be approaching. In a recent game against the Omaha Storm Chasers, Anderson exploded at the plate, recording 5 hits in 6 at-bats, including a home run, driving in 4 RBIs, and scoring 3 runs. The lone blemish on his performance was a strikeout, but that hardly dampens the impact he had in a resounding 19-1 victory. Anderson's performance has been nothing short of stellar since returning, boasting a .448 batting average over his first 7 games back in Toledo. This kind of output is undoubtedly encouraging for the Tigers and their fan base. If the struggles continue in Detroit, the front office must seriously consider promoting him to the big leagues, especially with the potential to become a vital contributor at just 24 years old. However, this creates a conundrum for the Tigers. If Anderson's hot streak persists, it could put players like Hao-Yu Lee in jeopardy. Lee has been trying to find his footing at the plate as well, slowly climbing out of slump, but Anderson's superior defense could give him the edge in a potential roster shuffle. The competition will not only be about who can hit better, but also who can make a more significant impact defensively. We cannot overlook Zach Short in this equation either. It's hard to envision him still occupying a spot on the 26-man roster come the All-Star break if Anderson continues to heat up. The Tigers are clearly at a crossroads, needing to make calculated decisions about player development and roster composition. And while the excitement surrounding Anderson and the Mud Hens is palpable, it's crucial to remember that fans are yearning for that level of production to translate into success at the major league level. The Tigers' top prospect, Max Clark, also made an appearance in that game, notching a hit, striking out twice, and scoring 2 runs. The potential is evident, but it's all about execution when it matters most. As we draw this segment to a close, it's a pivotal moment for the Detroit Tigers. The franchise is at a crossroads where bold decisions need to be made. The minor league success stories are encouraging, but fans want to see that translate into victories and competitiveness at the major league level. Comment below where you're watching from and your thoughts on what the Tigers should do next. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates on the Tigers and share your opinions. The future is uncertain, but with the right moves, hope springs eternal for this storied franchise.